And a lot of business owners have this perception that like, okay, well, if I'm profitable, I should have money in the bank. But that's not true for a couple of reasons. So your profit and your cash flow are actually two very distinct things that I help business owners track, because we could be extremely profitable throughout the year, but maybe we have one big event throughout the year that gives us that profit, but our expenses are spread out over the year. So it doesn't matter if I'm going to make a ton of money in July if I have to pay my salary. So
welcome to the Legalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, founder and CEO of Legalpreneur Inc. As a serial entrepreneur and someone that works exclusively with small business owners legally protecting their business, I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues faced by business owners, providing you with the business knowledge you need to catapult your business's growth and showing you just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled these legal and business issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information in the show. Bowie. She is a fractional CFO who I found on TikTok, and I'm so excited because I love finding people on TikTok and actually connecting with them. And so I'm really excited to have Christy here today. Christy, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I want to definitely dig into all things TikTok business and all the fun stuff. But first, I would love for you to give the rundown of your background, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I am a CPA and I went to school for, business, accounting, all of that. I have an undergrad in accounting and then I have a master's degree in tax, which everybody is like, oh my gosh, correct. It's just as bad as it sounded. So going out of school, I was kind of urged into this path of like, oh, Big Four accounting, you might want to go work for these firms. You want to be a partner there. Like, that's the dream. Great. I did that. I did it for, the 2 years I was supposed to. And I was very quickly like, this is not what I want to do. The whole reason I actually loved accounting in school is because it was kind of a puzzle, well, particularly tax. It's kind of a puzzle. And this is so interesting and it's not really relevant anymore, but I always tell people the thing that really made me be like, oh my gosh, tax is so cool. Was back in the day, during like divorce cases, like alimony and spousal support were treated differently for tax purposes. And so in divorce negotiations, there would be ways for like both parties to win by paying one more in like cash, but it was taxed differently. And it was like you could get to the best answer for both parties by just changing the verbiage and the taxable treatment for those things. So anyway, that was like one of the strange things that like piqued my interest in taxes, being like, it's a game and you just have to play it right. But there are ways to do it right. And so, that's what I wanted to do. And I did 2 years in the Big Four and was not doing that. So I kind of moved to a smaller firm where I was actually kind of involved in financial planning for business owners. So really everything from helping them grow their business to, okay, we have a growing business. Now, how do we save money in a tax advantage way based off of this? How do we open retirement accounts? All of those things. And so, I absolutely loved doing that. But while I was doing that, we were in a very specific niche in that firm. And I just wanted to make this information more accessible to the everyday person. I had friends who were business owners. I was in some organizations that people wanted to start their own business or were self-employed and were constantly asking me for help. And, I can't refer them to my firm that's charging thousands and thousands of dollars for legal advice. And so I was just wanting to make this advice, accessible to the everyday person, and specifically women who had not been taken very seriously in the financial world previously. So I kind of took all of the knowledge that I used for both of those and started a basically holistic, what I call a holistic luxury, financial advising firm. In terms of, we look at everything from your business, how to grow your business, how to take that money home, and then what to do with that money when it gets home. So I really kind of step in now as a CFO for clients who are really ready to take that next step. And, most of them are on their way to a 7-figure business and have probably not been taken seriously by traditional CPAs and advisors. So yeah, that's really my journey of, where I got today.
I love your journey. It's very similar to mine. I don't know if I told you this. So for those listening, we did an interview to be on Christy's podcast, and now obviously she's on mine. But I don't know if I told you this when you interviewed me, but I majored in accounting and I love taxes the same way. I was like, it's just a game. Like that's all it is.
So fun.
And I went into law school to be a tax attorney. And then when I got the big firm job, they didn't have a position in the tax group. So I was in litigation. I was like, oh, this is awful. So I only lasted 7 months, but I know that I would have had a very similar journey if I would have done taxes anyway. But
Yes.
I still love taxes because it really is a game. It's a game of life, and it's a matter of, okay, great. I've made all this money. Now how much do I get to keep legally?
Exactly. And then just doing all these things, I always tell my clients, I'm like, okay, so you have to run this through payroll, and then you have to do this and distributions and all of that. And they look at me kind of funny, and they're like, but I'm taking all the money home. And I'm like, you just have to play the game. Like it's so silly, but if you do it one way and you do it another way, I mean, I had a client who just by changing the structure they did things, we saved them over $22,000. And I was like, I know it feels the same to you, but like, we just got to play the rules.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I'm curious, when you first started your own firm, like how did you find these clients?
Yeah. So I had at the time that I was really ready to start my own firm, I was planning on waiting a little bit longer to start my firm, but just some surrounding things made me feel like now is the time to jump. So I had people kind of in my circle asking me for advice, asking me for help. And I did have like a non-compete at my firm. So I wasn't really capable of doing those other things. So for me, I was kind of like, okay, I have all these opportunities that I'm about to pass up because I can't take them on and they're going to go find somebody else. So that for me was like, okay, this is my sign to jump and start on my own. But after that, your immediate network dries up really, really quickly, quicker than you think. And so, from there, it was actually, I did get TikTok clients, which people are always like, no, you didn't. Yeah, I did. $1,000+ a month clients from TikTok. Especially because I do B2B work, right? So other business owners who are trying to grow their business on TikTok, I found there, I have just been constantly nurturing relationships with other people in kind of adjacent fields. So I recently met with an estate attorney. So, those people who know people who might be starting businesses and might have significant amount of money to pour into, but don't have the guidance, financial advisors, maybe bookkeepers who don't do any taxes, really just anybody who I could find that might have clients who would need advice. Because the thing is, a lot of people in tangential fields, like they so badly want their clients to have good tax advice, because honestly, tax impacts almost everything you do. Literally yesterday, I was looped in on communications from a new client and her financial advisor. And she was like telling her advisor, she was like, I finally have this accountant so you can talk to her about, how much I'm making, because that impacts how much you can put away in retirement. And so just building this network of people who really, really wanted their clients to have this level of advice, and just constantly nurturing that, it's probably been, I guess I started in April. So we're getting close to the
That's
year.
Awesome.
And just now those are kind of coming up. So really long game with all the people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I had a very similar story where my client, like the immediate network kind of dried up, but also I was running into conflicts because I was in a very niche industry, and within a couple of months I was like, oh my gosh, I'm already conflicted out from helping this person because they're in conflict with another person. So I knew I had to expand very quickly. And same here about TikTok. I mean, everybody that listens know I'm obsessed with TikTok. And it's crazy because I remember very recently watching this TikTok with some guy, I don't know his name, and he just came up on my For You page saying people that say that they get clients from TikTok are lying. And
I'll show the
I know,
receipts,
same
like.
here. It was all these people in the comments basically bashing him, like, you obviously don't know how to get clients and you're wanting to talk about how you
Right.
have this elaborate business and but anyways, I am obsessed with TikTok because of what it has brought to our business. And I remember January 2021, I think I had kind of slowly got clients here or there, but I had my first like viral video on TikTok. Ended up getting like 550,000 views, something like that. And we brought in probably like $20,000 that month in clients from TikTok.
Oh my gosh.
And it was absolutely insane. And then since then, I've just been absolutely all in because it literally can change somebody's life overnight. And I've seen that happen to so many clients.
Yeah, and I also think that specifically for service providers, having TikTok be a space where you can authentically talk about you and your life. I know for me, the reason clients reach out, because I'm always like, why were you interested in me? Like, how did you find me? It's always, well, I liked your personality or I trust you. It's not, well, I know you're really good at texting XYZ. Like, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
It's because they got to see me authentically. And I mean, I haven't really been in business long enough to hopefully see any turnover yet, but I haven't lost a client yet because they all know exactly what, they're getting when they come to me. They know exactly, I'm on TikTok being like, I'm on vacation. I'm not answering emails. So the minute my clients see that, they know, hey, Christy is very, she puts boundaries in place. Don't expect her to do that. Obviously, if it's an emergency, like that's a different story, but my clients know exactly what they can expect from me. And having that like authentic presence on TikTok has actually made for much better conversions in clients and retention as well.
Yeah. And I'm curious for you, when you started on TikTok, how did you figure out like what to post? Because I get that question all the time. People are like, I don't even know what to post. Like one of my very good friends, her and her business partner run multi-million-dollar Facebook paid ad agency. And she's like, I want to start on TikTok, but I don't know what to do. I'm like, how do you not know what to do? Like, marketing is your thing. And so I love hearing from people how they get ideas.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it was throw things and see if they stick at the beginning. It was really interesting because I'm obviously like a very data-driven person. So I'm always like, okay, what can I pull out of this? And I found that there were two distinct type of TikToks I could post. One is the reach one, obviously get lots of people. But because I do offer a relatively high ticket service, having reach actually wasn't very helpful. I was wasting time on sales calls with people who were looking for a low to moderate ticket offer because they just happened to see the TikTok. And so, I could focus on reach and doing stuff like that, calling out other people in the industry. People like really negative stuff, which like makes me very uncomfortable. I actually have, if you guys haven't heard like how to filter your comments, I do it for my sanity. Anything in my comments that says, there was one of my posts that like for absolutely no fault of mine, like got political on it. So I like filtered some words that were like related to political. I filter out anytime somebody says CPA, financial advisor, investments, like any of those, I have to approve them in my comments. So so I know what they say. None of them are really bad, but like every now and then you get these posts that like people just start bickering on that have nothing to do with you. So that gives me a little bit of peace of mind. Also, like, it's my platform, so I get to control what's said. But yeah, so a little bit of controversy in a way that is comfortable to me. And then just kind of sharing, particularly around tax season, people always like to know, all these little tax hacks, like all of that. And that's the stuff that gets the really, really good
does.
reach.
It always does.
And then oh my gosh, so much reach. Like me sharing about, I don't know, my most reached post was like one where I was like, yeah, your accountant doesn't calculate taxes for you during the year because you don't pay it. I don't know, something stupid. But I was like, why are there like hundreds of thousands of views? But okay. So that's really good for reach. But then, when I'm really, really looking into getting clients into my world, like clients, not listeners and viewers, I go a lot more in depth about what my clients are achieving, about what that journey is for them, because my ideal client can relate to watching my current clients go through that journey. So talking a lot about that. I do actually, as of the beginning of February, have someone helping me with all of this. So just having another set of eyes.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say I'm perfect at knowing exactly what to do. But yeah, the big thing I noticed is, you can get reach or you can get conversion. And also, making sure those ones that if you do have a good reach and you do have a good connection, move them over to your Instagram, convert them, get them to follow you on a more nurturing platform, because Lord knows we don't have any control of the TikTok, Instagram. And I'm not saying I do have Instagram either, but like, at least it's a little better. And then stories, once you get them over to your Instagram, talk on stories and start having conversations. And that's where I find my biggest conversion. So I would actually say, like, do I convert clients off of TikTok? No, they don't convert straight from TikTok. So maybe that's what people are saying. But that you find them and then you kind of nurture them along the way. That's been my experience.
Yeah. No, I love that. I will always double down on TikTok. Anytime somebody's like, how do I do this? How should I do this? How should I market this? I'm like, TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh.
At the very least, you're going to get like responses to how people feel about it. I don't know. Have you seen that, the macaroni place in Waco?
No.
Have you seen their TikToks? Okay. There's this, I want to say it's called like Roni's Mac or something. So basically at the very beginning, it's like this build your own macaroni store or whatever. And they would it's like a Chipotle for macaroni. Okay. So they would like scoop macaroni and put toppings on. And the people were like coming for them in the comments. They were like, this cheese is nasty. You did this out of order, blah, blah, blah. Well, they said, okay, cool. And they fixed it and changed it. And the comments now, if you go look at them, people are like, wow, we love that you took our advice. Looks great now. I'm coming to visit. Like, they literally took this feedback and were like, okay, cool. Like, how can we do better? And now people are like, oh, this looks awesome because they made all those changes. And so, even if you are throwing stuff out and people hate it, listen to their feedback.
No, absolutely. I think that's great. Now, switching gears a little bit, I want to hear about your services specifically and how you help your clients. So, can you talk a little bit about specifically how you work as an outsourced CFO? Because most people hear CFO and it's like, okay, chief financial officer, that's for big businesses. So how can you really be a fractional CFO and help smaller businesses?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I think it's very, very important that first of all, you have someone who you can access and you can trust with your financial information. I would say right off the bat, if you're working with, just a CPA or just some sort of advisor who you don't absolutely trust telling everything, you need to find someone right away who's new. And so for me, I work to build that relationship with the founder as well as their company, because as a founder, this business, one of the things I talk to my clients is about is, what's at risk for this business? Is this a side project for you? Is this extra income? Or is this your livelihood? Or is this your generational wealth you're trying to build, right? Like, what is at risk with this business and how important is that? And, I'm kind of at the point where for most of my clients, like, it definitely is their livelihood and probably generational wealth. But really, so what I do is I come in and basically take all that financial stuff off their plate. So I am constantly throughout the year looking at a couple of different metrics. So the first I look at is, your gross profit. So per each client you serve, the cost relative to serving that client, what is that, gross margin? And sometimes comparing it to industries. So I work with a lot of people in the same industry and I can compare like, hey, I know this person is doing this, so maybe that's attainable. So I look at that. I also look at net profit because, we have to make sure we are profitable at the end of the day. You could have the best margins, but then spend, way too much on rent or your team or things like that. So I'm looking at gross margin, net margin. I'm also looking at your cash position. So making sure that there is enough in those cash reserves to make sure that if something goes wrong, if you are a, brick and mortar in Dallas right now and you had to shut down because we have been in snow mode for, a couple of days, making sure that you have the money to sustain those changes. Or if you are a seasonal business, I have a lot of clients who have seasonal businesses, making sure that we can get through those seasonal months with this cash supply. So looking at those, as well as looking at, and this is kind of similar, but looking at the cash flow. How does the money come in and go out? And a lot of business owners have this perception that like, okay, well, if I'm profitable, I should have money in the bank. But that's not true for a couple of reasons. So your profit and your cash flow are actually two very distinct things that I help business owners track, because we could be extremely profitable throughout the year, but maybe we have one big event throughout the year that gives us that profit, but our expenses are spread out over the year. So it doesn't matter if I'm going to make a ton of money in July if I have to pay my staff in January. So looking at the timing of where everything is going in the business to say, you know, okay, for most business owners, they know, they have an idea of, okay, yeah, I make some money, but they have no idea when it's coming in terms of how that's relating to their expenses. So I'm looking at all of that. And then as we progress into the future, I'm associating how the business is growing with your personal life and how you want it to grow in the future. So saying, I actually have this awesome spreadsheet that basically calculates, what do you want to do in your personal life? Do you want to have a second home in, I don't even know, and that's going to be $1 million? And we put all of this data in. I see, okay, what's the payment on that? Cool. Based on everything you want to do, everything down to paying for my groceries up to buying this vacation home and paying taxes every year. What does all of that cost? And that is our number of, this is how much we want to spend each year. Then saying, if we want to spend this much each year, and these are our margins, back into what income we need in the business to get there, right? So saying, hey, and I'm a big fan of this because I think right now there's a lot of arbitrary business goals. Oh my gosh, I'm a 6-figure business, 10 months, whatever.
Who cares?
Okay, that doesn't mean anything. So really backing into what that means for your business. And then from there saying, okay, well, if we aren't there yet, what do we need to do to get there? Do we need to add a team member so that you can focus on being a CEO and growing the business? And then we go back to the drawing board and say, okay, cool. Our cash flow is high in this month. Our expenses are low. We can afford to take on a team member this month and, you know, take that hit maybe while we're in training and they haven't started generating revenue yet. And then we can use that to kind of forecast the future. So all of that. And then of course, in the background, I'm also calculating how this impacts taxes throughout the year, because I am a big proponent of no surprises. Every single one of my clients knew what their tax liability was going to be by January. There's no surprises in April. And we are calculating that quarterly because, you know, like I said, you never want to be in a position where you have to be in an emergency. You don't have enough cash. So we are allocating cash to appropriate sources throughout the entire year.
I love that. It sounds like you're kind of working backwards with the budget, which is exactly what I do. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do this year. These are the vacations I want to go on. This is what I want to spend on this. I want to buy a house. I want to do this. And then it's like, okay, great. Got all these numbers. Now this is how much I have to make this year. And that's what I did a couple of podcast episodes on that at the end of 2022, because I do not like the traditional way of budgeting because it is so limiting, and I'm all about not limiting myself at all. And I don't think anybody should limit themselves. Like you literally can make any amount of money that you want to. And so I love the backwards budgeting.
I actually even take it a step further, and I like to call it a spending plan, because you're not restricted.
Yeah.
This is literally what we are spending.
Yes.
So there's no budgeting, there's no limiting. It's just, this is like the math of, if you want to do this, we do this. Yep. And how do we get there?
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so I would love to hear, because I feel like a lot of people in the financial world have different numbers for margins or KPIs. So I would love to hear from you. What if somebody comes to you asking for general advice, because I know it is different for every business, but if somebody's asking, hey, what should my payroll percentage be for my business? What do you tell them?
Yeah. So of course, this really depends, on the industry and the business. Most of my clients are creative service providers. So they do have a lot of staff, on their team, and that is generating the revenue. So in general, high range would be like 30 to 40% would be kind of your gross margin. And that would include like staff who is dedicated to those teams. So, maybe payroll be about 30, 35%. That's kind of my goal for my own business. And I am, a service-based business as well. So, around that percentage, but I also never sacrifice what I'm going to pay my team. Because, I'm hiring this week, in fact, and I put out a job offer or job description, and my pay was like slightly higher than the average. I mean, it's decently higher, but applicants I got were phenomenal. And everybody's out here telling me like, I can't find staff. And I'm like, I offered like a little bit higher than the average because I'm willing to invest in my team, and I'm getting like great people that I am so excited about. So, those are just the averages, but I mean, your team is what's going to make or break you. So, that I would say is, yes, we have to make sure they're profitable. But also looking at, what is that one person going to bring in revenue, especially if their full job is focused on a revenue generating service, and kind of, again, like that to be about 1/3 of what they're generating.
Okay. And when it comes to, I know I don't even want to ask about profit margins because that's just such a huge difference for every type of business. I know a lot of course creators, like obviously it's high profit margins for the most part because they have no overhead. It's typically completely remote businesses. So I guess my question for you is, what is your favorite type of business to work with?
I love working with creatives, people who are very visionary people, because they tend to have so many ideas in their head. And one of my clients, she said, I'm a starter. I really like to start things. I have great ideas. And I'm the person that's like, hey, like, let's go, let's finish. You told me you wanted to do these things. Because one of the things that is more of an unspoken, I guess, thing that I provide in my service is I provide accountability. As a business owner, it's so easy to just say, I want to do all these things. Oh, I got busy. I did this. And I get it. Those things happen. But especially when you are a solo founder, no one else is holding you accountable for doing all of these things that you want to. So I actually ask my clients like their goals, and I say, hey, what do you want to do? And if they say, I want to, add this new service or whatever that I just thought about 2 months ago, but I loved it, I put that on our goal sheet, and I actually have like red, yellow, green status, like where are we with it? So creatives are very, very visionary, and they love doing what they do. But sometimes there's a little bit of stress and anxiety about actually being a business owner. And so that's where I come in and literally say, okay, I'm going to be your wing woman. I'm going to like grab your hand. We're going to do this together. And you're going to tell me your dreams and visions, and I'm going to give you a path to get there.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. Okay, Christy, tell everybody where they can find out more about you.
Yeah, so I am obviously on TikTok and Instagram at It's Christy Bowie. It's part of it. People always get confused. My name was taken for some reason. So at It's Christy Bowie, and then ChristyBowie.com is my website. I have a page for resources. I have some freebies, some metrics that you can use to calculate your margins. And then also, all my services are there. So I do also share, lots of free content on my social media.
I love it. Christy, thank you so much. This has been amazing. Here at Legalpreneur, we're committed to providing a supportive legal community for all business owners. I know how scary the legal stuff can be. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. Have any questions or comments about the show? Feel free to drop me a line on Instagram. I promise I read all of the messages and comments. And if you want to be a guest on the show or know someone that would make a great guest, simply fill out our application form and a team member will reach out if we think it's a good fit. I'll see you in the next episode.